Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Suleiman Raheem here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Have a brief presentation here. I want to go over briefly the 20th chapter of the Revelations called Injil. Injil is just the Arabic word for Gospels. The Revelation is the key to the Gospels, called the Injil key. Unlocks all the books. Without it, you have to break the 7 seals. Once you break the 7 seals, you have the key to unlock all the scriptures. So we're going to focus on chapter 20. Very important, because there's a great deception going on. It tells you there. It says they would deceive the whole world. Deceive the whole world about what? That's you have to ask yourself. Now, you go into churches or whatever, those that claim to know something about the angel, yet they have not broken the 7 seals. So, by definition, they have no idea what it's talking about. But they're telling you that chapter 20, so-called millennia, is the future. Somehow, Jesus is going to come back. He's going to slay Satan, throw him in the pit. And then after that, right, he's going to set up this kingdom that's going to last 1,000 years. And then he's going to let Satan loose. And Satan's going to go in to see the whole world. And then Jesus is going to come back and destroy it. That flies in the face of what Jesus said, that when he returns, right, he will be with you forever. And a kingdom was set that will not be destroyed or given to other people. That's total contradiction, but that's what they're telling you. And why are they telling you that? Because chapter 20 of all the books in the Angel, of all the books in Revelation, chapter 20 is probably one of the clearest. Because any historian can tell you, can follow that stream in its chronological order. So though it's sealed, anyone that has historical can follow it. And that's part of the sealing, because the sealing on chapter 20 is not that difficult. See, part of the reason, part of the sealing is displacement. It's placed at the end. So people think, well, that's after everything happens. Well, the angel is not, Revelation is not in chronological order. Because the first chapter, right, is actually after the war takes place, after the 6th seal. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We're going to go in and just walk through it. Then you can take a look at it. So if you know anything about history, right, you should be able to follow this. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Okay, the great deception. Chapter 20, Gog and Magog. Now, this is the first couple of verses. I saw angels stepping down of heaven, having the key of the abyss and chain great upon the hand of him. He did hold the dragon, the serpent, the archaic, who is devil and the Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now, it should be noted that 1,000 years is spoken of exactly six times in this chapter. See? So that's very important, because it's telling you, giving you a time frame. It's telling you their age, 6,000 years, right? That's why it's mentioned like 6 times here. That's something most people don't pay attention to, right? Okay. And this angel language here says, lo, hold the dragon, serpent, archaic, who is the devil, and Satan, right? That's angel language, right? It's because you understand, angel key to understand what they talk about there. And he threw him into the abyss and shut him up and sealed up above him, in order that he might, in order that not he might make the earth of nations until she ended 1,000 years. Now this is bind to be loose him a little while. In other words, this angel stepping down, he had this chain, right? If they hold a dragon, serpent, kick, all those, it binds in 1,000 years. 1,000 years, they're bound up. But they won't be able to do anything. After 1,000 years, they will be released. See? They're released after 1,000 years. But for 1,000 years, they're locked up in this abyss, whatever you want to call it. Right? You have to understand, and you're key to understand what this talking about here. See? Okay. Well, I'm cutting to the chase. Like you study, I'm just, you know, if you have any historical background, you should follow. If not, then you can look for yourself. Angel stepping down in heaven, right? There's Gabriel. It also could be considered Prophet Muhammad, but we just say Gabriel here, right? He's the one that raises Prophet Muhammad. He has the key to the abyss and the great chain. The great chain, right, are the Arabs, Sunni Muslims, right? We're called Sunni Muslims now, Arabs, right? If they hold a dragon, serpent, archaic, who's the devil, and bound. That's talking about, right, the Europeans and the Jews. See? And he throws them to the abyss, right? And they're locked up for 1,000 years. This is the so-called Dark Ages, the medieval period, where the Europeans and Jews were locked up in Europe for 1,000 years. This is historical fact. They was locked up in the Dark Ages. They went through a Dark Ages period, a period called Dark Ages. It was 1,000 years. This is what it's talking about. It's not future, it's past. That's what deception is about, because if you realize this was past, you can go back and line this up and say, you know exactly who's who. Because once you get this chapter 20, you know who's who. Everything else falls into place. Everything else falls into place. See? Because this puts everything into perspective. Because if you know this happened in the past, say, well, who's in locked up for 1,000 years? You see? And we know about the Dark Ages. The whole world wasn't, that was just the Dark Ages. Okay, so let's move on. Then it said, and I saw a throne, and they sat down upon them, and judgment was given to them, and souls who had been executed through the acts, the wisdom of Jesus, and through the word of God, who had not worshipped the wild beast, but nor the image of it, and now they see it engraved upon the foot upon them, hand of them. So what it's telling you is excluding everybody, right? So it's telling you, only if you understand your key, the only person that could be left is not excluded is the Arabs, Sunni Muslims, right? And leftover dead, and the leftover the dead not live until the end of 1,000 years. See, and this is the resurrection of the first, happy and holy. I think I mentioned before that the Arabs also call the holy, have part in the first resurrection first. Upon these, the second death having no authority, but they will be priests of. So in other words, they don't have to worry about anything during this period of time, this 1,000 years. They're priests of God and Christ, and they will reign with him 1,000 years. So they will have authority for 1,000 years. So in other words, you got one group of people in the Dark Ages, and other people that rise, right? See? They rise because of course of resurrection, so they wasn't something they come. You resurrect something that already existed before, and it died and resurrected it. So this was something that was resurrected, and that's what Islam. Prophet Muhammad resurrected Islam. He didn't create Islam. He resurrected from the time of Abraham. They try to hide this from you, right? So they hide the fact that this is all history. Is not the future. It's the past. And hide the fact from you that Islam was resurrected from the time of Abraham. Prophet Muhammad raised it from the time of Abraham. It was resurrected. So that's what's done. So the resurrection took place. That's what happened. So both of these are simultaneous. So at the time that the Europeans were thrown in the Dark Ages, Rome collapsed, in the Dark Ages. At the same time, that's when Prophet Muhammad came on the scene and resurrected the Sunnis, what they call Orthodox Islam or whatever. And said they were ruled for 1,000 years. See, they had a 1,000 year period of rule. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It wasn't said it was going to be beyond that. 1,000 years period. That was it. But they're trying to regain, they're trying to reclaim the empire of Muhammad. That's not going to be reclaimed. They only had 1,000 years. After that 1,000 years, they would lose power. And they would never regain that power again. It doesn't say regain again. You read further, you find they don't regain that power ever again. But they're trying to reclaim that power. That's what it is. See, they're time anchors. They're trying to look in the past. They're trying to revive Prophet Muhammad's empire. They're not going to do it. So they had 1,000 years, and that was 1,500 years ago. And they have not, Sunnis have not had one victory, one success in the last 500 years. Because their 1,000 years period, that over, the Quran was relevant for that 1,000 years. Now it's not relevant anymore. It never should be ended 1,000 years. When 1,000 years over, right? After the Dark Age was over, he said, loose Satan out of prison, right? That's the Jews, right? And he would make the earth, all the nations, the four corners of the earth. And he'd confuse everybody. See, that's part of it. He's going to confuse everybody. He's going to deceive everybody. He's going to make everybody err, right? The Gog and the Magog. See, they're with him. See, you understand intro key? Gog and Magog are with him. Who's Gog and Magog? That's America and Britain. To lead together into the war of which the number of them as the sand of the sea. Or God didn't even exist until after 1,000 years was over. America didn't come into existence after the Dark Age was over. Then you got Gog and Magog. And Britain, right, became a power. They became the first power, right? It says they were to the four corners of the earth. This is angel language, but also means they did not know the Europeans did not even know there was a four corners of the earth until after they came out of Dark Ages. See? So then they would go out and God make out. So you got two empires that's going to go all over the world. They can control everything. There's only been two European empires that had world control, world domination. Only two in all of Yaqub's grafted devil's history. Only two. That's Britain, right? They said that's the two horns on the ram and the Daniel, right? The greatest one can't, the bigger one can't last. That's God. That's Britain. The sun never set on the British Empire. Okay. Let me check something real quick, boss. This is going to have a little technical problem earlier. I want to make sure it's resolved. Okay, looks like it's resolved. God, Magog, the mother of God. Britain became the first world empire, European world empire. The world has not seen any global empire in the last 6,000 years. And then God, America is the second world global empire. It came up after Britain, right? And it exceeded, right? The British Empire, excelled above it, right? Became even more powerful, right? That's what's, see, it says lead them to war. It says lead them to this war. See, because they're warlike. Make mystery shed blood. See, make all the nations lead them into war. See, that's where it's all going to. All the thing they're doing is lead to a war. And then the city, having been loved, and stepped down fire of heaven and ate down them. What is talking about here? The city having been loved. That's the Middle East. All the cities, Jerusalem, Mecca, Medina, city have been loved, right? It says they step down, they have fire. In other words, God and Magog will bring fire, God, Magog, and false will bring fire out of heaven on the people. That's what's going on with these drones, these hellfire missiles, this dark in the skies of the Middle East. The dark in the skies of it. And every 5 minutes, they're dropping hellfire missiles down on somebody. They don't care. They're killing women and children. They say, well, I think he's a terrorist. Boom, anybody near him goes with him. That's happening daily. It's been happening for years. What it says, fire out of heaven. See? Who's bringing down fire out of heaven? Europeans are. They're the ones got the drones, the missiles, cruise missiles, all that stuff. They're the ones that's doing that. See? And they're doing it in the Middle East. And then the devil making earth was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur. See? In other words, when you see it happen, right? We see them encircling the Middle East, bring fire to heaven. That's when the war would occur, and the end of the war would be the devil, the making earth, was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur. Also the beast, wild beast, and false prophet, right? That's America, Britain, right? And false Israel. There's 3 of them. See, will be tormented day and night into ages of ages. You see, be tormented. That means they're thrown into hell. in the lake of fire. That means they're not burned up. How they burned up? They're tormented. See, they're thrown in the lake of fire and sulfur. Also, the wild beasts and false prophet, they will be tormented day and night. So the wild beasts and false prophet, they go first, right? Because they're already there. Now that's Britain and false Israel. Right? They're taken out, and then the devil makes them to Ur, was thrown into the lake of fire. That's America, right? And where also, and they will be tormented. Talking about America, they will be tormented day and night into ages of ages. See, because they go into captivity. That's what it's talking about here. Now it's facing consequence for all this stuff they've been doing for the last 20 years. Now they're facing consequence. See, it says, read it carefully. The devil that making Ur was thrown into the lake of fire, where for wild beasts, false prophet, and they will be tormented day and night. See, so who is they? Talking about the devils. That's America. They will be tormented day and night because they got to face the consequence of what they've done for 40 years. And I saw a great white throne, and sitting upon it, upon whom fled the earth and heaven, and place was not found for them. Right? And I saw the dead, the great and little, having stood inside the throne, and little books open. And another little book was open, of which is of the life, which and was judged the dead of having been written in little books according to the works of them. He gave to see the dead in it, death, and Hades gave the dead in them. They were judged each according to the works of them. Death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. Death the second, lake of fire. Anyone not found in the book of life had been written, was not found in the book of life, having been written, was thrown into the lake of fire. See, that's who tells you, hey, the Lamb's book of life. You ain't in there, you're going to the lake of fire. Period. Those are the books you'll be judged out of, not some philosophy book that sci-fi has written, or some philosophy book that Farrakhan's written, whatever. You're judged out of the book of the Angel. And your name better be in the book of life. Otherwise, that's how you end up. See? There it is. So you can follow it. You can follow it. That's exactly what's happened. Chapter 20 said you can follow it easily, right? You see, there was resurrection and the downfall of the Europeans and the resurrection of the Arabs. It happened almost simultaneously. See, and it was Arabs. There was a chain, right? They had them balled up. They was the ones that kept Europeans balled up in Europe. Remember, said the angel had. Is that it? I'm not going to actually get into the angel. I want it to be a short one. See, it said he also angel stepped down, having a key and chain great upon the hand of him. See, that was the chain that had them balled up. See, that's the Arabs. So they had the Europeans balled up for 1,000 years. Okay, brothers and sisters, I hope that's informative. Right. That's chapter 20. I'm thinking about giving a brief talk on each one of the chapters on a daily basis. We'll see how that works out. Depending on if anyone picks this up, I think. I don't think I need to be more detailed on that because this is an easy chapter. Because you got history to back this up. You can easily take this and compare this to historical record, right? And that'll make it very clear. And that's when Gog and Magog came out after 1,000 years. They've been, for a season, that's 500 years. And they've done it, and now they're encircling the Middle East, just like it says. So you got the history, you got the present, and they tell you what the future is. The present, they're circling the Middle East. They tell you what how the end going to be. So you got the past, how they got to that point, how they got to circle, because they went back after the people that encircled them. See, in other words, they're getting revenge. The people that locked them up in Europe for 1,000 years, now they're retaliating back on the Arabs. They had them locked up. So retaliate. So now they need to bring fire out of heaven, right? Drone missiles, hellfire missiles, whatever, right? Blowing the people up. See? So they're getting their revenge. But it says, what happened in the past, what's happening now, they're over there with the hellfire missiles, and what will be the war. Because it says the whole thing is leading towards war. It says it. And the war, and the war was the end result of the war, the judgment, their destruction. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's leave it there. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're gonna leave it there. You know, we're fast approaching the boiling point, right? Uh, you see, it's getting hot. Some people are oblivious of it. They still not. No, well, a lot of us see the Abraham are because we reach boiling point very slow. We're slow to anger. We said we don't anger. We're slow to anger. So be mad at your brothers and sisters because they're going to be resurrected in a minute. See, don't be mad at them. See, because they don't feel it. Europeans, they feel it because it's getting hot and they get anxious. They get, they call temper. You got your temperature moves faster. They get more angry. See, you see more all the anger in America is getting hotter and hotter. And what's the places getting hardest with this virus? America, Britain, and false Israel, the hardest hit. Is that a coincidence? See, and Africa's hardly touched. Yet we down here like flies. That's a lie. See, because they can't let you understand Abraham covenant. They can't let you. They can't. They can't. They cannot have you see it that way. That this day in judgment and because of you, they can't have you see that. They can have some people see it, but they can't get around it because the war is about to happen, and the whole Abrahamic prophecy of the Exodus and everything. Once we return, we'll never be uprooted again. But false Israel is about to be uprooted. They're going to be lost in this war. And when that happens, everybody's eyes open. They can't hide anymore. And that's when hell breaks loose over here. Because at that point, they got to exterminate you. Got to get rid of us. They already planned to do it, but now they got to move up their schedule. All hell will break loose. This place will go crazy. Because be clear, we are true seed Abraham. They can't hide anymore. So I'm going to leave you with this, brothers and sisters. Pay attention. You saw what they did to the Japanese in World War II when they got in the war in Japan. They weren't attacked anything. They attacked Pearl Harbor. That's another story. I mean, actually America started that war, but this doesn't matter. They locked up all the Japanese, and they loved them much more than they loved you. And they said that was their fear. That a war would break out and you would join with the enemy. That's their fear. And that war, they was going to get rid of you before the war started. They saw the war coming, but the war started before they was ready. So now they're going to be double. They're going to double down and get rid of you fast. So all this stuff going on around here, people talking about picking up guns and stuff, brothers and sisters, that's bullshit. Because those people that's telling you that, Black Lives Matter, all kind of stuff, white folks are running that. They're trying to set you up so you can they can say they're justified in taking you out because you've been violent, you're insurrection, right? You're terrorists, all that stuff. They're setting you up. Black Lives Matter, they communists, see, nobody in America is going to cry a tear if communists get killed, but they're communists, they said it. Nobody's in America, if you burn the city and everything, nobody's in America is going to get upset about that, killing them. See, that's what they're trying to put that sign on you. And they also put, well, you're the one spreading the virus because we died in disproportionate numbers, right? That means blacks must be the ones spreading this virus. You're being set up, and you listen to these clowns like Farrakhan, they're working with them. I keep telling you, you're going to find out in a minute. He's working with them. I ain't speaking on South, so I don't know much about it. But I know he ain't down with this program. That means he ain't down with us. So he's an enemy. Because if he was about the truth, he would recognize this. But Farrakhan, he's working for them. There's no absolute doubt about it. I'm going to prove it to you. If they don't do it first, right? He's working with them. See, he's a son of perdition. He's working with them. Him and his demons, they work with them. They're setting you up, right? They're setting you up to wipe you out. And now they got to move it up quick. And especially when this war breaks out, they're not going to, boom. You're going to see tanks hit in the streets. You might wake up one morning and you're sitting outside your house. That's where that's why fraud has to come to those four winds. Who's controlling the four winds? Suleiman. Because he's the one that, you see, he says, he always tells the winds, don't do anything until we seal. You understand, Angel, what I'm talking about. He tells, he's in communication with fraud at that time. Hit him to save your ass. Because they come in to kill. They come to wipe you out. Let's get rid of them. Let's don't be called a nation anymore. Let's forget it. Get them. Need to get rid of us all together. See, but Pharaoh intervenes. So, and we at the that's the plan is already in action. They've been doing various things for years. War should be the first thing, but that failed. And this war happened before they was ready. The war happens before they're ready. See? Read the sixth seal. Happens while they're unripe, the fig's unripe. Happens before they're ready. Because if it didn't, you'd been wiped out. We'd been wiped out. Because it says, those days had to be short, or no soul would be saved alive. If it wasn't for those days being shortened. Shortened by who? By Farad and Suleiman. Suleiman called Farad, hey, take them out. Here were those four winds. That's how the days were short. You know, before they get a chance to do what they was going to do. The war breaks out before they had a chance, because they was planning on getting rid of us before the war, but the war happened before they had a chance to get us. So what's that? That great shaking, right? And it caused the unripe figs, right? They was unripe. The war happens in the Middle East before they got a chance to execute their plan. And then once they execute, you want to see that, and Israel goes down, and all this, they know they got to get rid of you. So they're gonna push it fast. They're gonna move fast. And that's when Pharaoh has to make his move. Before Suleiman has called on four winds come, right? Slow them down, right? For Pharaoh to snatch us out of here. Just enough time to clean up the NOI, get those demons and everything out, because they're going through the tribulation. They're Levites, but they grafted into our tribe. But they failed their mission because they were supposed to follow through what Elijah Muhammad said. They didn't. They let Pharaoh trick them, so now they got to go through and clean up the rest of their brothers and sisters. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.